I go work like a doctor. When I rock the mic, you got to like the way I operate.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to LidLine Sports. I am Renault Pepe Bean. And I have with me, of course, the world-renowned Mr. O Stevenson. We call him Lil O. What is up, O?
What up, Pep?
Not
How you
much.
doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Ready to talk some good sports today.
Sweet. I did see King Richard over the weekend, and
Nice.
so maybe we'll discuss a little bit of that a little bit later. But right off the bat, I want to get into LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart.
Right off the bat, huh? I mean, it's
Yeah,
so
man.
fresh.
I'm a hard hitter, so
It's the funny thing is so fitting about that is I think we're like a few days removed from I forget what year anniversary of Malice in the Palace.
Right.
But that and then on top of that, just the fact that it involves like LeBron James out of every athlete, it was man, just watching the replay. I didn't get to see it live. I walked into the house like I think maybe a few minutes after it happened live, and my TV was on NBA TV, and they went right to that incident, and I just seen Isaiah Stewart's face is bloodied, and I'm thinking like there was like a real fight going on, and then you go back and you watch the replay, and it's just I don't know. It was an unfortunate situation. I do think LeBron's the swipe back that you just saw, ladies and gentlemen. I do think there was some intent behind it. It looked like Isaiah Stewart was getting a little physical with LeBron, and LeBron didn't like it. I don't think he intentionally meant to hit him in the face. I think he was just trying to get him off of him,
Hmm.
and he connected with his face. And yeah, after that, it's history. I think there was just a lot going on the court. You got Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook trying to play superheroes, and I feel like kind of egging it on. I don't know what was said between LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart right here, but whatever was, I thought that LeBron James was trying. I thought he was apologetic and didn't mean to do it and was trying to, de-escalate the situation. But now something could have been said at this point. That,
Right.
like at this point, he was just it was lights out, and he was just a whole different person. The incident of 10 different people from the coaching staff to players to security trying to tackle Isaiah Stewart so he did not reach LeBron James, and then having to hear the announcer tell fans to please stay in their seat. It's like you
Right.
just got deja vu all over again. And,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I think security and NBA or everybody, coaching staff, they did a great job of handling the situation. It could have been much worse. How as pissed as Isaiah Stewart was, but yeah, man, it was very unfortunate. Yeah, it could have been bad.
Now, what part of the game, as far as what quarter did this event happen?
Third quarter, the Detroit Pistons were up around I think 12 to 15 points at this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or 12 points. Yeah, they're up 12 points early third quarter. I thought that this was a momentum change for the game because the Lakers, after being down 15 at a point, came back and won this game. Like I said, Russell Westbrook just had a whole renowned different energy to him after this happened.
Right.
Russell or Anthony Davis did. So it was unfortunate. I think that this was pivotal to even why they lost the game as well.
Man, Daniel, great job in getting this video up because this is the first time I'm actually seeing this much of it.
Mhm.
From the looks of it, man, the suspensions were handed out today. LeBron got a 1-game suspension, meaning that he's going to lose about $245,000 in game check, and Isaiah Stewart is going to lose about $45,000 per check, per game check.
He's
So a big
suspended
difference, of course.
2 games, right, for Isaiah Stewart, right?
Yeah. But man, from the looks of it, I'm seeing Stewart running all over the court. He's pushing people off of him. He pretty much went berserk.
Yeah.
Surprised that he got only 2 games. So
Yeah. I agree. I thought Isaiah Stewart would, get more games than that, just off the nature of how, just like I said, it was just. I think you explained it perfectly. Just he was running all over the place. He could not be restrained.
right,
The NBA just has a no tolerance policy for none of this anymore.
absolutely.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, you're right. I thought he would get more games. I was a little surprised, I guess, by LeBron James's suspension. I don't know. Like I said, I thought that the hit was incidental. I thought it was warranted for a flagrant two foul, him being ejected.
Hmm.
But then when you do look at it over and over, and you see how much force he goes back into whipping his arm back and hitting him, it kind of did look like it was purposeful hit to his face, but I don't think it was. So a little
Hmm.
surprised, but I understand it though, definitely.
So do you think this wakes up the Lakers per se? I mean, look, let's be honest, they've been mediocre at best, right?
I couldn't even
Uh,
call it that.
lost,
I mean,
lost a couple of games where they had no business losing. They've lost to the OKC Thunder twice after being up by 20 points plus. They've lost to let's see who else did they lose to? They lost to another team
they
by
got blown out by the Boston Celtics, who've been very mediocre.
yeah, they lost, but other than Oklahoma, there was another team that they were whooping up on and lost. I can't remember it off the bat.
Maybe the
I know Houston,
Timberwolves.
I know Houston gave them a rough time too,
The
right?
Timberwolves, they lost to the Timberwolves by 20 just
Yeah,
last week.
at
So,
home.
yep,
The
at
Lake,
home.
yeah. So the Lake Show, they've got issues. Now I wonder if this particular game will kind of wake them up from the humdrum, and in this game itself, they're down to the Detroit Pistons who have won maybe what 4 games, maybe 3. So they found themselves down double digits before this incident happened and kind of sparked them to win. But they shouldn't need these kind of sparks to win. Um, Anthony Davis has already said that after the Minnesota game that they just flat out suck.
Hmm.
Russell Westbrook only turns it on when LeBron. It seems to me that he's only turning it on when LeBron is not there.
That's fair.
When he's not there, Russ will get his 28 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds, 8 turnovers, whatever. But when LeBron is there, he seems to tone it down a little bit as far as the scoring is concerned. But I don't know. Maybe perhaps they kind of need that spark from him, to be consistent because
Possibly. Possibly. Uh,
and plus they're still missing a couple of guys, from these nagging injuries. They're still missing what Kendrick Nunn hasn't really been playing.
Kendrick Nunn, Trevor Ariza,
Right.
Taylor Horton Tucker just got back.
Hmm.
And then LeBron James has just got back as well. So,
So they're still a little discombobulated.
yeah.
Uh, but they got to get it together. But it's early. It's November. You know, if this was March or April, then yeah, there might be some panic setting in. But right now we're still in November. They still got we're not even into Christmas yet or anything like that. So they still get time to get it together. What's their record now? They're what 10-8 or something like that.
Right now they are. That's a good word. That's a good question. I know that they're in ninth place, I believe. They're
Oh,
9-9 in eighth place right now.
okay, 99, which is mediocre.
Hmm.
Especially for them with the expectations and aspirations that they have. And so now people are also saying that their bubble championship really isn't a real championship. I've been hearing talk about that.
Yep.
So you would think that would spark them even more, right? I mean, give
Yeah.
you some motivation to say, look, we are legit. We won a championship. We're having a little rough time, but that won't last, right?
And people keep using, this. I don't know. I kind of feel like an excuse of, I feel like, saying it's early. I feel like you can say that with teams, that been there together.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is a brand new team, and you would like to see some type of fluidity. And I think what worries me more though about the Lakers than anything, they were always a top 3 defense since LeBron's been there. They are the one of the worst defenses in the NBA right now. You lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Alex Caruso, who's playing well for Chicago Bulls, and I mean, Dennis Schroeder, who's also a great on-ball defender. Who is going to be that guy for them? Who is going to be able to guard somebody's best player night in and night out? They gave up 60 points to the Detroit Pistons in the first half.
Right.
That's just a little. And might want to. It's kind of hard to go to sleep a little bit knowing that's how the Lakers are playing defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. So they got a lot of work to do. You know what? Let's get into NBA overtime.
Okay.
Yeah. We're deep into the LeBron talk. So I know you got some other stuff. So let's get right into it.
Yeah. After that, LeBron James was also in the news on Friday. Not really much his fault. Enes Kanter got on Twitter and called him out for pretty much his affiliation with Nike and the alleged slave labor Nike incorporates to its workers in China. And it's so happeningly that it happened. He tweeted Friday morning before the Boston Celtics played the LA Lakers in Boston. They actually did cross each other on the court during warm-ups. No words were spoken. And then after the game, LeBron James said he's not going to give Enes Kanter any energy and feels like he's using his name for likeness. And then over the weekend, Enes Kanter also used Michael Jordan's name with his affiliation with Nike, and then also saying that Michael Jordan hasn't done anything for the Black community. Your thoughts?
Oh, that right there. When I read that, I was like, wow. I mean, he's really trying to go out there. Now, does Cantor have a vendetta against Nike, or is it the fact that he feels that LeBron and Michael have exploited their likeness and their market with Nike to the point where it's so expensive to buy the doggone product, and he feels that, I don't know, I haven't really delved into that specifically, but if you've looked into more of it, I'd sure like for you to share that.
Yeah. So Enes Kanter over the last year or two, he has been an advocate for human rights, mostly with the people in China. He spoke out against the NBA after that incident happened with Daryl Morey and the whole debacle with how he spoke against China and human rights. He's also been against other human rights across the world, which I am totally for, totally understand. Now, LeBron James and him have always had a history, and I think it's been more Enes Kanter not liking LeBron James. I don't know how much energy LeBron James gives Enes Kanter, but they've definitely had some words being said to each other on court. But then you mix in together that LeBron is the face of Nike, and then the alleged rumors of the slave labor with how Nike treats their workers in China just gets all put together. And like I said, I just think this was an opportunity for Enes Kanter to once again use LeBron James' name and also speak for human rights. I think it's a slippery slope. I definitely don't agree with him having to use LeBron James' name to speak out about human rights in Nike. I definitely don't agree with that at all. And then bringing up Michael Jordan, and he's doing this like on CNN, not just Twitter. And he also says he's not in the rotation. He feels he's not in the Celtics rotation right now due to this. But also they do have Al Horford and Robert Williams, who's a really good young player.
Right.
But like I said, I like that he's speaking up for human rights, and he has every right to.
Hmm.
LeBron James not speaking out on what's going on in China is his right to not do so. And he's also said he said this before when this was brought upon with the Daryl Morey situation, how a lot of people were asking him why he didn't speak up for human rights, but he speaks up so much about social injustice. And I mean, he said like he's not educated on that, and he's not going to speak on something that he's not informed about. And I agree with that. He has every right to. You're not going to speak on something that you don't know anything about. So
Right.
I don't know exactly in his Cantier's way he's trying to go with this.
That's interesting.
But yeah, he
But
wore these shoes on Friday as well.
yeah, why do you think there's so much dislike, or dare I say, hatred for LeBron James? I mean, LeBron James, love him or hate him, I guess, but he does a lot of good stuff, right?
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we all know about his I Promise school, for kids, and he's put kids through college for on his dime, you know, something, things like that,
Hmm.
and there are many others. He's in, of course, he's in Hollywood now, but he's got a lot of things in production. I guess a lot of people don't like that that he's doing too much, maybe.
Hmm.
But I
Yep.
don't think so. I mean, the man has a platform. He's an NBA superstar and has been for 20 years. And you know what? He's looking out for his family and life beyond basketball.
Yep.
So all these other ventures is something that's going to happen after basketball, which is what's wrong with that?
Yep.
That's planning for your future, planning for your family's future. So he's doing a whole lot of good things, like I said. So I don't understand the hatred, because people are always comparing him to LeBron, excuse me, to
Michael.
Michael Jordan, which is to me is it. Look, it's going to happen. I mean, because comparisons are going to happen. Because back in
Yep.
the day, we compared Kareem to Wilt, and we watched them battle. That's the big difference, though. When we watched Kareem and Wilt was kind of on the tail end, but he was still solid, right?
Hmm.
He wasn't he wasn't a role player. He wasn't a bench player. He was still pretty solid. He wasn't his early 60s, mid 60s, that kind of guy. He wasn't 38 and 24. He was more 22 and 18,
Hmm.
which is still outstanding, right?
Definitely.
And so when he ran into Kareem, so of course Kareem never played against Bill Russell because Bill Russell had retired the year before Kareem. Very smart move, by the way. Kareem, before Kareem entered to the NBA as Lou Alcindor, I might point out.
Hmm.
So these comparisons, they're going to happen. Eventually there's going to be a guy coming after LeBron. He's going to be the next dynamo, the next sliced bread better than, and they're going to compare him to LeBron, so
Yeah. I just
it's
think
always going to happen. Hmm?
I was just gonna say, I just think when you're at the top, I mean, there's always gonna be somebody's gonna always try to find something negative to bring you
Oh
down.
yeah, you're king of the hill. Somebody's always going to try to knock you off. Heavy as the head, wears the crown, all that.
Yep.
So, so, so I just don't like to compare eras. That's what I can't stand.
Oh,
I'm
for sure. Yeah.
so sick of seeing these arguments where guys are comparing. Well, these guys couldn't play in today's NBA. Well, yes, you can. Yes, they could, because every era is just where they happen to be. So, uh, like Kareem, for instance, I just mentioned. He's in his era. He was great, of course. If he played in the 40s and 50s, he'd have been great.
Yep.
If he played right now, he'd still be great because he's got an unstoppable sky hook. You know, so man, look, I understand some of these role players in the NBA back in the day may have problems in today's NBA. I get that, but you know what? That's why they were in those eras
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's what they were made for. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So what else you got, brother?
Yeah. Besides that, we talked a little bit about the lowly Lakers. I hear a lot. about the Golden State Warriors, rightfully so. The plan.
I heard Klay Thompson's cleared to practice.
Yeah, and then Steve Kerr kind of reneged that and said, he didn't hear anything about that later on in that day. So I don't know if they're trying to keep that under wraps or whatever the deal is, but I think he is. I can see him playing around Christmas time or sometime after Christmas. But he is clearly definitely ramping it up, and we will see a return for Klay Thompson very sooner than later with a team that's already first in the Western Conference, playing great on both sides of the ball. They also will be getting back James Wiseman in the next month or two. Like I said, very right.
Sure.
What was that?
I said they've been the surprise, I think, for sure. I mean, we all thought that they'd be pretty good, right? But of course,
definitely,
we knew that they'd be even better when Klay got back. So we figured they would really kick it in then. But no one thought that they'd be number one in the NBA right now, currently, as is. No. And then, of course, the development of Gary Payton second has been pretty surprising. So, people question, well, why Avery Bradley got cut? Well, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy that they decided to take instead of Avery Bradley. Even when it first happened, I was like, well, why are you going to cut Avery Bradley? He's solid. He is solid. But we found out
in the preseason games for the Warriors. So, yeah.
But GP2 is solid and younger. And so, and plays, glove-like defense. They call him the mitten. Whether you like that name or not, that's what they've been calling him. So they've been a nice surprise.
And I think that's why they're number one. It's been the development of the young guys. Jordan Poole. Playing like a great complementary player next to Draymond and Steph Curry. Gary Payton, as you just said. And then, like I said last week, Andrew Wiggins is filling that role of 3-and-D, being a secondary ISO scorer. He's been the perfect complementary player with these guys as well, getting into that role.
Yeah, and Jordan Poole, glad you mentioned him. He's been scoring like crazy, right? Yep. They haven't missed the Klay Thompson kind of scoring. Now, I'm not saying Jordan Poole is as good as Klay Thompson. He's not the same player, but he is giving you the same kind of result as far as in the stat book, as far as scoring. Now, when Klay comes back, it's going to be, a little, of course, it's going to be a little. Need a little time to adjust, of course.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're not going to rush Klay. They're not going to give him heavy minutes. But I think by, if everything goes to plan, by April, they should be really clicking. And if they can get Wiseman back and rolling, that team is going to be real difficult to deal with in the West. Phoenix and LA and the Clippers, and the usual suspects out west, in Utah, Denver, they're they're going to have some problems trying to play. They don't want to play Golden State. Let's put it that way. That's going to be the one team you don't want to see in the playoffs.
And you were just saying that one team. You're getting to my second point.
Okay.
Funny, the Phoenix Suns, kind of just flying under the radar with a 12-game win streak going on right now. They are clicking on all cylinders. They got DeAndre Ayton back a couple weeks ago. He has been playing like a man on a mission since coming back.
Playing like a man that wants a contract?
Exactly. Devin Booker has, I feel like, finally got over that hump of getting off to a slow start. Chris Paul is being a leader, and then the bench has been coming together over these last few days. But regardless of who they're playing and whatnot, when somebody's on a 12-game win streak, you got to give them their flowers. Possibly 13 after if they beat the Spurs tonight. But the top end of that West, between the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns, two teams that are kind of semi-young but have veterans. They play each other at the end of this month, and back to back. Those are going to be some fun, exciting matchups. and I can't wait to see them. I think those are the two best teams in the West right now.
Right.
You also mentioned the Utah Jazz, who will be right there in the LA Clippers.
Yeah.
And
Now
then,
there's all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's already been a firing, eh?
Oh yeah, I was about to say some NBA news. I think this was kind of long overdue. Kings head coach Luke Walton was fired over the weekend. The Kings lost 7 out of the last 8 games. Actually, to a lot of bad teams too as well. And that kind of sealed his fate after a 2-year stint with the Sacramento Kings, 68-93. We all know Luke Walton is kind of famous for subbing in for Steve Kerr while they went on that crazy win streak and also going on to win 73 games that season. But since he's become a full-time head coach, he has not been able to turn the corner. I personally think the Sacramento Kings has had enough talent to at least maybe have made the playoffs. I don't know. I just thought that the man should have been fired last year, and that his last name, kept him around for a little longer than he should have been. He should have been there. But Alvin Gentry, another black head coach, will be taking over as head coaching duties. He is the current associate head coach before Luke Walton got fired. Former Pelicans head coach, and yeah, I think that's a good pickup for them. And then Denver Nuggets wing Michael Porter Jr. could possibly miss the rest of the season with a pinched nerve in his back. This is the same issue that he had that caused him to miss his freshman year in Missouri and also caused him to slide in the NBA draft.
Shut him down.
What was that?
Shut him down.
Yeah, definitely. You just paid the man. This is insurance right here.
Shut him down and just get him well for next season. Don't even think about this season. Don't even think about trying to have him for the playoffs. Forget all that.
Yep.
Just
You're already out with Jamal Murray for who knows how long.
Yeah, just plan not to have him.
Yep. Jokic has been in and out the lineup. This is a big cornerstone for you guys. I agree with you. And then
you don't want to play with the back.
Definitely not. And the nerve too at that.
Right. I've got friends that have had back surgeries and injuries and whatnot. And listen, I myself probably back in my, I want to say 30s actually. I playing ball and stuff so much, I had back issues for a while. I mean, I couldn't sleep hardly because my lower back.
Imagine, man.
I'm like, oh my God, is this what old age is about? I was 30 something. I have no clue because now I'm walking like Fred Sanford. But man, if I step on the court, it's only to say hi to somebody because I sure ain't doing nothing else. Yeah. But I want to get back to the Kings real quick. Because I do got a question about that. But before I get into that, we got to take a break. And so right after this break, we'll get back and I'll talk about some more. We'll talk about some more NBA and I'll ask my question to O about the Sacramento Kings. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome to the coronavirus pandemic. I'll take coronavirus for 100. Fever, chills, shortness of breath, loss of taste or smell, or to stay at home and isolate. Correct. Coronavirus for 200. Inability to stay awake, persistent pain or pressure in chest, trouble breathing. What is seek immediate help? Correct.
Coronavirus for 500.
Crippling and potentially dead infectious disease eliminated the United States with vaccination.
What is the polio vaccine?
Correct!
I'll take coronavirus for 700.
The Daily Double! Should I take the coronavirus vaccine? Wait. Hold up. This is not a game. It's time for serious discussions. We have coronavirus vaccines, but not everyone is comfortable taking them. Here's the facts. Based on what has been proven about vaccines for other diseases, COVID-19 vaccine may help keep you from getting seriously ill, even if you do get the virus. Getting vaccinated also may protect people around, particularly those at greater risk for severe illness from COVID-19. We don't yet have all of the answers. Get informed, talk to your healthcare physician, and make the right decision for you. This is a message supported by the Washington State Department of Health.
Women are not an homogenous group.
We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Welcome to the Fitness Corner. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and you're going to get a whole total body workout on my show, starting off with a warm-up, aerobics, strength training, cool down, and stretching every Friday from 11:30 to 12 right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
God is Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your favorite community radio station. We're putting out all kind of inputs for you in your community. So come on and listen to us and tune us in. Get on our Facebook, Instagram, and all, as we're doing it right here for you in your community with Rainier Avenue Radio.world. And God is an inspiration of gospel music. Also, we're doing a lot of different things in your community. We give out free food. We give out a lot of things in the community. We do a lot of shows. We do a lot of things on the sports part, and we want you to come on out and tune us in and come to the community, and we do a lot of things in your community. So make sure you go to our website, RainierAvenueRadio.world, and also go to the God Is website and look us up and see what we do in your community, something maybe you might like. So come on by and check us out from 11 to 2. Free food giveaway.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Hey, welcome back to LidLine Sports. I'm Renault Pepe Bean, along with Lil O Stevenson. Before we get back to what we were talking about before, we were discussing the NBA. I want to give a shout out to everyone that as our usual listeners: Nancy Conyers, Rhonda Dorsey, Bill Walker Jr., John Hughley, Michael Carter. You know who you are. We love having you guys here every Monday night at 7 p.m. You can hear us on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, Facebook Live, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all those social media platforms. We appreciate it. But I also want to tell you this. At 6:30 p.m. on Monday nights, you got Rick Dupree and Edwin Bailey, and Dupe gives you some solid programming. If you're not tuning in at 6:30, you really need to before we come on at 7. Today he gives you good video on player conferences. I mean, he just gives you great interviews with celebrities. The guy is awesome, and I just I've known him for a long time. Probably since I was 12 years old. So, and of course I know a lot of you listeners know who he is too, but he does a great job. He has a great show. So please tune in at 6:30 before you tune in to us at 7 p.m. Now, Lil O, man, I got one question about the Sacramento Kings. What's going on with Marvin Bagley III? What are they going to do with him?
That's a good question. Started out the regular season, even going into last year. Marvin Bagley wasn't in the lineup, wasn't in the rotation, or he was coming off the bench a lot for Luke Walton. But this year, to start off the regular season, Luke Walton decided to not have him in the rotation. He's requested a trade. The Sacramento Kings, which I'm so confused about, aren't playing him, even though they want pretty much they want his value back. You can't get your value for a player if you don't display him.
Right. Chase the guy.
And I don't know. It's a really confusing situation. Because Marvin Bagley is a good player. I don't think he's
from your place too, Phoenix, right?
Yep, from Phoenix. I just don't think it's worked in Sacramento. He's also been bitten with the injury bug plenty of times, so he's been inconsistent in the lineup. But I thought he's produced while he's been healthy. So, yeah, whatever the situation is, it does need to be handled quick. I do think by trade deadline he will get traded, but just like you said, he has to play. The Sacramento Kings have a lot going on. Remember, they fired Vlade Divac last year. They are once again at the bottom of the Western Conference standings. What was that?
Now, isn't Shaq a part owner, or is he still affiliated with Sacramento, or no?
He sold his part ownership when he became he partnered with, I forget, some sport betting site. So he sold his ownership after that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento seems to waste a lot of good talent because they got Buddy Hield, they got De'Aaron Fox, now they got Tyrese Maxey, Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some good talent. They just don't seem to have the right staff to nurture that talent, and they can't seem to get talent to come there in free agency. And another team that has that issue would be the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm.
Timberwolves are always bad, but they have good players. I mean, like Karl Anthony Towns is a top flight guy. They got D'Angelo Russell, who can score, who's a good player. So and then they got a kid from Seattle, Jalen Noel, who last season I noticed in limited minutes he always had big production. But right now, he's not getting anything going on. So I don't know what's happening there in Minnesota and in Sacramento. But it seems like teams like that, those middle of the road teams, just can't seem to get over the hump.
Yeah, but you hit it right on the head, though. It starts with front office. It starts with management. It starts with coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like with the Timberwolves, they've had inconsistent coaching staff. Karl Anthony Towns has had about 4 head coaches since he's been there. And then, like I said, the front office for Sacramento is just not getting the job done.
Well, it's a good thing Zach LaVine got out of there.
Definitely. And, Minnesota has been playing well over these last 2 weeks, so we'll see what turn, if they can make one this NBA season. But yeah, those two franchises hand in hand, front office management they're just not getting it done. They're not getting the job done. They've been stuck in no man's land for the last 10 years.
Gotcha. So, bro, who's your power rankings for the NBA this week?
Man, wish G was here. I think he'd be pounding my power rankings today. We're starting.
Oh, man, you know what? Speaking of G, sorry about that. I meant to mention him as well. He'll be back next week, everybody. So don't panic. He was out last week because basketball tryouts, and he's out today. Because he's got to get that championship team back and raring and rolling. But he'll be back next week. So, it'll be good. I'll be glad to have him back. Trust me.
Definitely. Yeah, and I can't wait for the Metro League for basketball season started too as well. But, yeah, I think he'd be proud of me today. So you're starting to see, these good teams starting to separate themselves right now. So the Golden State Warriors, they stay at number 1, 15-2. Phoenix Suns stay at number 2 at 13-3. Was really neck and neck. It was kind of hard to not have them at number 1. But the Brooklyn Nets staying afloat at 12-5. They're at 3. The Chicago Bulls 12-5 as well. Got them at number 4. And then the Utah Jazz re-enter back into my top 5 at 11-5. They're on a 4-game win streak right now. But those are definitely, in my opinion, the 5 best teams in the NBA, and definitely over the last week were the 5 best teams in the NBA. So
you got any honorable mentions?
Oh yeah, it was kind of hard to keep the oh man, there's a team I can't think who's in. It's kind of hard to keep the Wizards out. And noticing how well they're playing defensively. This was a team over the last 2 years that played 0 defense and just got up and down with Brad Beal. But they have turned that corner, and they are guarding in one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, which has landed them the top 4 team in the East. And then the Miami Heat, they deal with the injury bug week in and week out. They did start off on fire, but right now they're kind of, like I said, they've been average. They lose one, win one, so they're right outside too.
Cool. Good stuff, man. That was some solid NBA news and statistics and everything. I appreciate you, man.
Yes,
but now we're gonna get into a little NFL talk. Some pep talk. This is week 11 in the NFL, and this has been a strange 2021 season. I mean, it seems like
every week, Pat.
Huh?
So you say that every week. You just get stranger and stranger, huh?
I know. I would like to say something different, y'all, but it's been, it's like, it seems like we have several games that make you go, what? It's like trying, like I was watching Sunday and I just turned on to Red Zone and it had the Titans and Tennessee game on, and it was already 12-0 Texans. Excuse me.
Yep.
I'm like, what? No way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a team that's, pretty had a smooth 2021 that haven't been humbled yet. But forget it. You can't think of one because, Arizona, yeah, well, they look good yesterday. But, huh?
I was going to say maybe they've had these smooth.
Well,
right. Even they've
but,
had bumps.
But last week they got humbled against Carolina.
Yeah.
At home.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So Green Bay. Because if you remember, they got blown out the first game of the season by New Orleans at 38-3 or something like that. And then, they lost to Kansas City without Aaron Rodgers. They came back and beat Seattle, but then they lost to Minnesota yesterday in a last-second field goal. So they haven't had the smooth ride that, they normally do. And, of course, Dallas. Dallas has been outstanding for most of the season. But 2 of the last 3 weeks, they got humbled by Denver, blew out the Falcons, but everybody does that except for New Orleans. And then, they lost against Kansas City, in a very, it looked like a snooze fest. I didn't watch much of that at all, but, they lost 19-9. So, and speaking of Kansas City, they were 3-4 at one time. Now they're 7-4. So it looks like they're kind of, they're getting the ship righted, but, look, we don't know what's going to happen. Buffalo, they look outstanding. Now they sit 6-4 and we're scratching our heads. Like, who are they? Are they the team that blew out,
Kansas City?
They beat Kansas City? Or are they the team that lost to Jacksonville and now got blown to smithereens by the Colts?
Yeah.
Who are these guys? That's the thing. We don't know who these teams are. I've noticed that all these predictions and polls and stuff like that, these that I'm in Facebook, like I'm in this Facebook group where we do predictions every week. Well, heck, the last 2 weeks everybody's been 9-5 or 8-6, instead of 12-2 and 11-3. We haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. And I don't know if this is going to be much different this week when it comes out tomorrow after this game here. So, you got Tennessee, which we already mentioned. They got beat. And then how about the Rams? Well, the Rams lost to Tennessee and they lost to San Francisco. Bro, I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's in the Super Bowl. I don't know nothing now.
There's definitely not a favorite right now. There's not one favorite.
Yeah, you can't say this team is going to be in the AFC Championship. You can't say this team's going to be in the AFC Championship in the Super Bowl. Right now, who looks the best team in the AFC right now? If I was to say right now who the best team in the AFC is, can you guess who I would say?
Man.
I hate to say it.
Were you going to say the Indianapolis Colts?
No. But, man, that's a pretty good one. They got the best running back.
Yeah, definitely.
Not named Derrick Henry.
The New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots. Right now they sit at 7-4, and they've gotten their act together. Mac Jones is efficient. He's not turning the ball over. They've been running like crazy. Oh, look, I know they played Atlanta recently and they won, but hey, that's what they're supposed to do, right? And they still got a rookie quarterback, and it was still question marks going into the season. But right now they're the clear-cut favorite in the AFC East again.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you about Bill Belichick? Was he a Brady product, or was Brady a Belichick product? Well, the answer is no. Both were good together, but they're also good separately. Right now, as of right now. So I got to give him his flowers, as you say. So looks like the Patriots right now are the best team in the AFC. And then so speaking of Tampa, they've had their own issues. When I said speaking of Tom Brady, they've had their own issues. They got beat by New Orleans, and then New Orleans hasn't won a game since after they beat Tampa. So then Tampa gets beat last week at Washington, and guess who the Seahawks play next week on Monday night at Washington. So will Washington Washington beat Panthers yesterday, so they won 2 in a row. Are they going to win 3-0 and beat the Seahawks? That's not going to, the Seahawks, they're not going to beat Washington, right? But with the way things are going, who knows? They might.
Yeah, never say never. Yeah.
Never. You can't now, especially this season. I don't remember seeing anything like it. I mean,
who would you?
You go into a game and you think, okay, Houston at Tennessee, that's an easy one, Tennessee, and then look what happened.
Who do you like out of the NFC? So
in the NFC,
Patriots, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not saying I like the Patriots, but right now they're playing the best. They're playing the best football, I think.
Who would you consider playing the best in the NFC?
Man, right now it's a toss up. I mean, you can't. I don't know because. Okay, I'll tell you. This is Philly. Right now is playing the best in the NFC.
You're right. You are right. I think you're right.
They blew out New Orleans 40-29. Yes, and then the week before they won. And so they've evened up their record, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Right now they're playing the best in the NFC. Now, do I think that's going to last? It remains to be seen. Maybe they've turned the corner. Maybe they'll run off 4 or 5 in a row. I don't know. But right now, it's teams that nobody suspected would be up at the top or playing well at this time of the season is New England and Philly. Because there's no way in the world I thought that would happen. And then, of course, now we're 10 games in. Now there's issues with, of course, who's going to be fired. Chicago's got issues. Matt Nagy, excuse me. Chicago had that game won against Baltimore.
Oh my goodness. That was one game I was able to tune into in that final 3 minutes. Oh my gosh. That was, like you said, I think that described the NFL season to a T. Right there and there. You have 2 backup quarterbacks on the field. Both make game-winning drives, and it's just like, there's just no words for it. Like, no words.
None. I mean, go figure. So I don't know, but Matt Nagy's job is in jeopardy for Chicago, and now I'm hearing talk that the best fit probably in Chicago would be Jim Harbaugh.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So, which I kind of agree actually, because he fits that kind of mold up there. He's a Midwest guy. He's been at Michigan, ex-coach of the 49ers, and went to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And so, but as far as the makeup of that team, it seems like it's built for Jim Harbaugh, and especially Justin Fields. I think Harbaugh, because he's got the same kind of skill set as Colin Kaepernick. Okay, so that's the kind of guy that could probably coach him up and get him to where he needs to be. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, or that's going to be the case, or even if it should be the case. That's just my opinion. I think if you're thinking about a quarterback or a coach in Chicago, Jim Harbaugh's name probably has to be right up there. So that's it for Pep Talk as far as that's concerned. We might as well turn our attention to the hometown Seattle Seahawks. They fell yesterday 23-13 to the rival and first place 9-2 Arizona Cardinals, who played without Kyler Murray, without DeAndre Hopkins, without J.J. Watt, and still had no problem taking care of the Seattle Seahawks. Were you surprised at all at what you saw?
Yes.
Or were you expecting?
I just was so shocked to see the offense just be so non-existent yesterday. Oh man, I don't know if Russell Wilson's 100% or if it's just like you guys call it this vanilla offense, or just a little bit of both. Somebody needs to take ownership of what's going on and needs to fix this problem. And there's frustration all over the board. You see Pete Carroll walk out of a press conference, then come back. It just seems like nobody has an answer right now.
You know what gave me a hint that the Seahawks were in trouble in this game? An hour and a half before the game, they announced Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins was not going to play. Hopkins, I kind of knew wasn't going to play. I knew Murray was a game time decision. But if the Cardinals had any issue worrying about the Seattle Seahawks, I guarantee you Kyler Murray would have been playing.
Dang.
They weren't worried. That's concerning. They said, you know what? Colt McCoy can beat him. And he did.
He did.
He threw for 325 yards. 325 yards. Arizona had the ball for 40 minutes. That's the second week in a row that the Seahawks have time of possession doubled on them. 2-1 in favor of the opponent. Green Bay had it for 40 minutes almost last week. The Arizona Cardinals did have it for 40 minutes this week. That is unacceptable. You can't win if you don't have the ball.
No chance of winning a game.
I mean, Russell Wilson, we know that his offensive line is suspect, and I suspect that it's bad. And the problem is he doesn't have the escapability he used to, right? He can't just spin and turn and whirl and dervish around like he used to. He doesn't have that much. I mean, he has it sometimes, but he doesn't have it as frequent, and he can't do it. He's not making the right decisions when he does get out of situations like that, as we saw last week. So, this team is in dire straits. I mean, yeah, they can run, they're talking about, well, they're 3-7, and if they run the table, they're 10-7 and possibly can get into playoffs. But what indication is there of, number one, running a table, and two, winning a game? Yeah. How about winning a game first? How about that? Win me a game, and then we'll talk about the next week. Win that. Yeah. Don't tell me about, well, they can just run the table. Oh, can they? No, they can't just run the table. They still got to play Arizona. They still got to play LA again. They still got to play San Francisco again. Yeah, they got some bums coming up. They got Chicago. They got Detroit. Do you want to consider Washington football team a bum? I don't think you do. They got them next week. So they got issues. And the main source of the issues in my book is Pete Carroll. Yeah. He's 70 years old, and right now he does not have an answer. So that tells you that tells you a change is needed. I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, I trust Pete. Well, you know what? Pat Riley won 3 straight championships for the Lakers. Is he still the coach of the Lakers? Did he not leave the Lakers and coach elsewhere after that? Sometimes it's time to go. Your time is up. And to me, his time is up. You know, that whole staff is up. I mean, how many years have we been saying that the offensive line needs to be fixed?
Yep.
Since 2015, at least. Well, it's obvious this coaching staff can't fix it. They need to bring in somebody that can, or develop one, because they're not drafting well, and at all. And the guys they do draft are always hurt. You know, I'm hearing about all this talent Penny has, and all this talent this guy has. Well, he's never on the field.
Yep.
What good is that?
Yep.
Did you see the game yesterday?
Yeah, I saw. I think through the third quarter.
Oh,
I missed when they made a little run back then. But like I said, it was really hard to watch. And like I said, that frustration, like that Pete Carroll feels and everybody else, like that's how the fans feel. And it was almost fitting to hear the Seahawks fans boo in that arena, because this is not something
well deserved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is not something over the last 7 years that Seahawks fans have had to endure like for this long. Like I think 1-5 at home or something like that.
Yeah, they've only won one game.
Yeah.
And Michael Carter just made a good point saying that, during Lockett's press conference that the offense is not adjusting to the D. Well, this is game 10, man. When are you going to adjust? Come on. I can see if this was game 3. This is game 10. What are you talking about? I love Tyler Lockett, but come on, man. What are you talking about? So yeah, they got issues, bro. And it's not going to be solved. This is not going to be solved this season. And and if things are going to be overhauled, I don't see how Russ is going to be here for that.
It's going to be a busy offseason for sure.
It might be one that, people are really going to be upset about.
Yeah.
Because, let's say they want to trade about, Russell Wilson. Well, he's only going to go where he wants to go.
Yep.
So it's not like you can trade him to Green Bay and get Aaron Rodgers. That doesn't work that way. You're going to have to trade him to where he's going to go. But look, we're out of time. We've said all we can say about the Seahawks and sports today. I want to thank O Stevenson for his great insight on the NBA. Granville will be back next Monday night, 7 p.m. But like I said, please tune in next Monday, 6:30. Listen to Rick Dupree. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll be back. See you next week again. And so, LidLine Sports as we see it from just below our holla. Man, that was quick. I looked up, it's time to go.